Welcome to the Game Strategies podcast. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Jan Wouters, Global Learning Business Partner at Maersk. We'll discuss how gamification is transforming the performance of the sales team. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you very much, Andrea.
Well, to begin with, we would like to know a bit more about you, Jan. Could you tell us about your professional background? How did you become Global Learning Business Partner at Maersk?
Wow. Okay, it's a long journey. In December, I will have been with the company for 20 years.
Okay.
And I started off as a supply chain analyst.
Wow.
And from there, I had many different roles in supply chain development, as we call it at Maersk. And one of those responsibilities that I had at some point in time was to train people. To train people in a certain approach that we had in supply chain development, and I thought that was pretty interesting. So that sort of stayed with me, and then I had different roles in commercial. I used to be an account manager for one of our key clients, and then at some stage there was this opportunity to join the commercial academy, the team that I'm in now, to sort of become as my function says, a global learning business partner, which, if I translate that roughly, is a trainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but how many people do you train? I mean, it's under your responsibility to train.
Oh, wow. Well, our commercial organization is around, if I'm not mistaken, around 25,000 people.
Okay.
But of course, we have many colleagues in the commercial academy. My focus within the commercial academy is the account managers of our top 200 clients. That's my main focus. Okay. But then you easily branch off into different functions, because a training that is relevant to account managers might also be relevant to what we call integrated sales.
Of course.
So that's how it sort of goes a little bit all over the place.
Okay. And where are you located? In headquarters? Where are the headquarters located?
Yeah, the headquarters of Maersk are in Copenhagen.
Okay.
That is not where I sit. I sit in the Netherlands, but we have a very dispersed team in that sense. We have people in India, in the UK, in Denmark, in the Netherlands, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, we're a global company, and especially since the COVID pandemic, of course, we also came to the conclusion that it was not absolutely necessary to have everyone in one place all the time. Of course, it has its perks, right?
Yeah, of course.
But it also has its disadvantages, and that's why. Well, not necessarily why, but that's why I still sit in the Netherlands.
Okay. Why explore gamification and game-based learning to improve sales performance?
Yes, I saw that question earlier, and I thought, that is a very good question. And so I started digging in my memory. So where did this come from? And actually, before I joined Maersk, I was an SAP consultant, right? The software consultant. Mm-hmm. And I was in a team, and we were implementing, I think it was warehousing software or something. And we also had a guy on the project team that was a trainer at that time. And he came up with a training that was based on a board game. So he had a huge board laid out on the floor, and a big dice that people were supposed to roll, and then of course
I won that for us.
That was super, right? And people had to move across the board to complete the journey, and with every throw of the dice, of course, you land on something that, I don't know, you had to perform a certain transaction in the SAP to show that, okay, I mastered this and I can move on. You didn't move on, you had to move back on the board, you moved, okay, you can throw again, something like that, right? And I thought that was such a clever way of enticing people to learn and to take training actually without it feeling as training. So it was more of a let's say, well, it was more of a game.
Fun.
Right? It was fun.
Including fun in your day-by-day job.
Yeah. And then I started looking into gamification or gamified learning more, and then it of course turns out like, how do you learn as a child, as a kid?
Yeah,
you do
of course,
by
playing.
This works, this doesn't work. Okay, let's change the approach, and so on and so forth. And I started or tried to start implementing it in my own trainings more and more, which of course has its limit. I mean, I'm not a gamified learning professional in any capacity or shape or form. So that's when I sort of almost stumbled across game learn.
I mean, learning by playing is our motto, and that's why we are here. But I'm sure that you found some initial reaction in your team. So what was your sales team's initial reaction when they started with gamified courses? Like, what did they think?
I'm sure I haven't seen all the responses or the reactions, but I'm sure that there were a couple of raised eyebrows, like, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
But in general, I can say that it has been it has been welcomed. People find it a refreshing way of learning, and it has been successful in the sense that people say, yes, this actually did something for me. I learned a new skill, or I don't know. It helped them do their job better, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, because we are not talking only about gamification, but also game-based learning, like the full methodology.
Yeah.
So okay. So last year, your sales department in USA did our serious game Gourmet about personal efficiency.
Yep.
And feedback was very positive. In fact, the NPS of our games in your organization is 40.3. That's a lot. Could you share some details about that project? I mean, what impact did you observe on the team after participating on that project?
Yeah, it's let's call it a pilot that we wanted to
It was 100 people, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. It was a not too big of a population, but I wanted to sort of convince leadership and my learning and development colleagues in the US of, guys, gamification, gamified learning is something valuable. It can help, and let's see what we can do. So they said, okay, we will set up a pilot, and we started off with Gourmet because that was the proposal by my account manager, and on personal efficiency. I mean, that will work for everyone, right? So
yes.
Whether
we all need that personal efficiency, right?
I need it at home, for instance, to clean up my stuff. But so we started that off, and with this pilot, but also with other pilots, I must say that the NPS has been quite high, higher than what you identify in GameLearn as the sort of the median in the industry.
Yeah. You are over the benchmark.
Yeah, it's higher than the benchmark, and also for this, it was we got it. It helps. It's a fun way of doing. So I guess that's also the reason, of course, that the NPS score was so high. I'm not sure if I have a proper answer for you when it comes to, okay, so how did it change their lives? I mean, I'm too far away from the US to have seen that firsthand, at least. But I will be definitely following up with the local learning and development manager to see if there's maybe more to be done.
Of course, yeah. Okay, so you provided the opportunity for more team members in the sales department in Europe to join this experience. They are now improving through games their capacity of active listening, critical thinking, negotiation, meeting preparation. What improvements have you observed in your team's sales performance after completing the courses? Like that kind of courses, more focused on on the commercial activity.
Yes. Yeah, right.
with your customers?
So for our commercial functions, we aim to have a so-called competency framework in place that sort of is a list of an X number of specific competencies. Such as negotiation skills or market knowledge or customer centricity, things like that. Okay. It differs obviously per function, but for instance, if we talk about account managers, then we have different levels of account manager. We have the account managers that take care of our key clients. We have account managers that maybe take care of the local clients. So where they have the same competency framework, where it differs is the level that we expect as Maersk that they have under their belt. So if we take negotiation skills as an example, then our key client directors, as we call them, need to have a very high level of proficiency when it comes to negotiation skills. If we talk about a local client manager, they obviously also need to have negotiation skills under their belt, but to a much less proficiency level than their counterparts. So
so you create those learning paths in order to...
Yes, and then we measure where our, in this case, account managers are, and then we find that on an aggregate level, on a global level, we see, okay, they're doing great on customer centricity, they're doing great on product knowledge and market knowledge, but there is room for improvement on negotiation skills. And then we start with, I usually take a top 5 or top 6 of competencies that score the lowest. And then looking at that, then we say, okay, we have training in place for this, we have training in place for that, we don't have anything for negotiation skills. So what can we do for negotiation skills? Then we take a look at, for instance, the
merchants course, or you have a lot of courses in
exactly, programs and courses that we have already lying on the shelf, basically. But if we don't have something, then we take a look at, well, for instance, the Game Learn portfolio. And we say, you have a game called Merchants, which is focusing on negotiation skills. So then we try to make that part of the learning journey for in this case, the account manager. And then this competency assessment we do on an annual basis. So then I'm also able to sort of compare 2023 to 2024 and see how we have moved the needle or not, right? That's still also possible.
Is there anything you learned personally through this approach that you didn't expect?
You mean the gamification approach?
Yeah, like the game-based learning, serious games, like the gamification approach to this training, this function you're doing.
Right. Well, I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but one thing that I expected was that people would jump on this. That it would be a no-brainer. Everyone's can we do more and things like that, right? And experience and practice teaches me that maybe not everybody is of that same level of adoption or enthusiasm as maybe I am when it comes to gamification or gamified learning. And that is something that I took away from that.
So as we were discussing before, it's like once they try, they are very enthusiastic and the metrics are very good and the NPS and everything. But the challenge is to make people start playing, right?
Yes. Very much so. And even if you have them starting and doing the games, playing the games, then it is still there's still a necessity to find that very, very fine balance when it comes to training, whether that's an e-learning or a gamified learning or whatever else, and on the other hand, the work that they need to do. Right? We want to have our sales on the streets, as it were. And I'm very grateful that our senior leadership has or sees that there is a need to also improve, that there is a need to train and learn, where in many organizations it's almost like an afterthought, right? It's like, no, go sell first, and then later on we will see what kind of training you need if there's time left. No, in our organization, our senior leaders are of the opinion that that there is a need for training, that we do need to make that investment, because that is what it is, before, or not before, but in order to increase our sales, to increase our commercial impact on the market.
And that is also why game-based learning is important, because, imagine if it's not fun. I mean, people don't have the time usually, and even though Maersk is one of the companies involved in this development for all their employees, but imagine if it's not, it's just a PDF or something like that. It's like, okay, I don't want to do that, right?
Yep, exactly.
So yes, this is why game-based learning is important. And what are the next steps for Maersk regarding gamified learning strategies? Is there a new project or pilot that you are excited to implement?
Well, I had the chance to talk with your CEO this morning, and he...
That's great.
Absolutely. And it was very early for him, I can tell. But he was explaining about your efforts to implement AI in games or in gamified learning. Which to me would be is very interesting, because I would then be able to take out a certain part of subjectiveness that we currently have when we measure our sales force. So if we could implement that, then we not only take out the subjectiveness, but we also have an enormous opportunity to make it more scalable, because, I mean, right, it's a machine, so they can take on hundreds of people.
Yeah. I mean, through AI, what we are trying to do in this role plays is that you will be able to talk to a computer,
right,
but not writing, but talking to a almost real person. It's not real, that knows everything about your company, your sales process, your product. So he or she is expecting you to do the perfect sales pitch, let's say. And he or she is gonna, take down notes on how you can improve your sales pitch, and how you manage every comment that he or she is doing. So then the managers, the directors, will have the information, as you said, objective information on how this person is doing, and how can we improve this sales pitch, and what are the competencies they need to improve. So yes, we are very excited about that. We are working hard to have it as soon as possible. Okay, so how would you describe the impact of gamification at Maersk so far, both in terms of performance and, more important, organizational culture? Like, do you feel that is there like an impact or a way of changing the things from the inside through gamification, not only with our courses, but in general?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that impact as much yet.
Okay.
And that is for the reason that we have done and have been able to do these pilots in instances, which is like 100 people there and 100 people there, 60 people there. But it has not really, it hasn't really blossomed, not yet. And therefore, I think that what you're looking for, that cultural impact, or maybe even impact on KPIs,
like change behavior, right? Like by playing, by experimenting. At the end of the day, these are simulators that give you feedback. And so you are the player of a game in which you will live like an adventure, and through simulation you will take playing, or yes, training by doing, right? That you cannot do that in the real life because you are learning how to do that. Yeah. So our motto is to playing by doing, and also change behavior in order to really impact the business.
True, and that is, of course, what we aim to do. I mean, we have when you talk about role plays, that is also something that we have in other training programs. It's that is then usually in a classroom with a lot of people, that maybe the people may feel a little bit inhibited in that sense, which is good because it helps them step outside of their comfort zone, and with for instance this AI development that we have been discussing, it is probably easier for people to just try it and do it and make the mistakes, get the feedback, make the changes, and then become better. So far, I have not seen the impact as such. Although as a company, also in terms of sales, we're not doing bad. We're doing good. We're maybe even doing great. But there are so many different factors that come into play that I cannot really say that whether it's gamification or Game Learn or another training program that we have, but that was key. I mean, then I would be
it's like more
going to my manager and say, hey, it's time for a raise.
Okay, and finally, what advice would you give to other companies considering implementing gamification but still having doubts?
I would say try it yourself.
Okay.
Because then you will see that it actually works. Try to pick a game where you have a certain interest, whether it is whether it is negotiation skills or DEI or something completely different, team performance, things like that. I say, I would like to learn more about that. Try it, and then you see, hey, that's actually a pretty fun way of obtaining new skills, or maybe not even new skills, but sharpening my skills. So just do it, I would say.
Thank you, Jan. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today. And thank you for sharing your experiences with us today. And before we say goodbye, I want to remind you that in the episode notes, you'll find more information about the Game Strategies products and we've mentioned during our conversation, as well as links to Jan's social media. If you'd like to contact him or learn more about his work, don't hesitate to do so. He is, he's open to participate in this. So thank you all for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on your social media for more episodes. Thank you, Jan.
My pleasure.
And see you next time.
Absolutely.